Hang gliding is fun, but I know many people who started hang gliding for fun and are now professional airplane pilots, some retiring as airline captains. Flying is flying, and once you get the hang of it, you can progress to anything. Those who become the best power pilots started out as glider pilots, like Chesley Sullenberger. My grandnephews, Harrison and Henry Ernest, grandchildren of my dear sister Kathy Lovins, came to visit me at my hang glider shop in San Marcos, California. They are two normal-looking kids, one of whom, Henry, thought it would be a good idea to go flying with me on the hang glider. In September 2023, the coolest parents in life brought their cherished little boys to California for the Disneyland and Super Nintendo World experiences. An additional attraction was the chance to go flying with their great uncle. The boys had a great time playing with the tools and finding all manner of small, interesting components to attempt to assemble into a robot or something. I had to make a replacement rib for a customer's glider, so I did that in front of the boys, thinking it might be interesting. I showed them some hang gliding videos, did some juggling, played my mosquito song for them. When asked if they wanted to fly with me, neither showed any interest. Then it was time to head to the sea cliffs in La Jolla. If the windcast was believable, there was a chance that the afternoon sea breeze would be strong enough to do a flight with a light pupil like Henry, if he so wished. As I set up the glider, Harrison and Henry ran, jumped, and played on the grass with the abandon of humans their age. Once set up, I put Henry in the harness and allowed him to swing with joy as I gave him some instruction on controlling the glider. Harrison took his turn later. Perhaps pretending to fly would be enough for them. It seemed they thoroughly enjoyed that. After waiting an hour and a half and watching most of the paraglider pilots leave because the wind was cross and light, we continued to wait and watch. About 2 hours before sunset, a wonder wind ensued.
2, 1, fly! That's impossible.
I took a solo flight to evaluate the conditions and found them to be excellent. When I landed, Henry was up for a flight. I strapped him securely into the harness and we walked down to launch. I hooked him into the hang strap while his dad held the glider in control at the nose. I showed Henry the handles to hang on to, dismissed Brian, and off we went. The wind was so perfect that Henry's feet were off the ground as I started running. I didn't hear much from him during our flight of about 10 minutes. I pointed out a homeless guy's tent surrounded by trash as he took in the view.
How you feel, Dad?
When I asked him if he wanted to land, he said yes. After we had a graceful landing, Harrison decided he would go too.
Henry, what'd you think?
Yeah, just when you're launching.
Pockets when you're gonna hold on to these when you're going up.
Yeah.
Harrison.
No.
Very cool, Henry.
That was so cool.
Everybody over here thought that was awesome that you went. That was pretty big.
Again, Brian held the nose while I hooked his son into the hang loop. I dismissed Brian and off we went.
All right, you got it, Harrison.
Harrison, let go!
Shh, no, don't tell him to let go.
Well,
Harrison, too, was taciturn during the flight, probably speechless at the great experience of viewing things from above. After about 8 minutes, I asked him if he wanted to land, and he said yes. After a gentle landing, we commenced to folding the glider. The boys did their best to help with folding and carrying the wing. Soon it was time to part, and the boys showed their appreciation. It was very rewarding to give these two forming human beings an unusual experience that might stay with them and affect their attitudes and decisions for the future. But they might have enjoyed playing with the things in my shop more than the flying. Sometimes I do too. Amy did a great job of photo documenting her boys' adventure. As you can see, she has a great eye and a real talent for photography. Very impressive. For those who might entertain the thought that Amy and Brian made an unnecessary and irresponsible decision to let the boys fly with me, we should remember the wise words of Helen Keller, who said, "Security is a myth. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing." Of course, a first flight experience can evolve into a desire to resume training someday with the possibility of making flying a career.